Here are three things I did to land my data analyst job. First of all, I'd like to welcome you back to another amazing episode on Life with Mugs. If this is your first time, mwah, 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 welcome. I love you. I see you. I appreciate you. And if this is your second time, or if you have been a perpetual viewer, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And honestly, you guys are the best. So, I had posted a testimony of how the Holy Spirit helped me land my data analyst job on TikTok and Instagram, and I got a lot of positive responses and comments and feedback. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Obviously, I wanted to make the video short, so I didn't want to go into extra detail regarding how I landed the job, and obviously by the help of the Holy Spirit, but I also wanted to share practical steps, but time wouldn't let me. So I thought to myself that since I actually got feedback from people regarding wanting more information about how I got the job and the things that I did, I'll just share. And who knows, you might learn one or two things. All right. So the first thing I did was to look for a course that would tell me more about data analysis. And I didn't want to go straight into a boot camp because boot camps are very expensive. The boot camps that I had seen at that time was around $2,000. So I said to myself, if I go and pay $2,000 and I do end up liking this thing, what am I gonna do? So I said, okay, you know what, I'm going to look for something that's more cost efficient. And then that's when one of my friends, his name is Lota, had posted about the Google Data Analytics course on Coursera, and I'm like, I might as well check it out. So I did, and then I think I don't remember, but I think it was free. And then after a certain point you started paying like $49, right? So it's self-paced, meaning that you can take it at your own time and you're learning online, so you can create a schedule. Now, because I was on my maternity leave, I was dealing with a newborn, and I didn't, want to pressure myself. I spread it over about 8 months or so. So I started from January and I finished in August. That was when I completed the last project that they had given me through the course. And I wanted to say that it was actually very easy to follow, very beginner friendly. Some of the things covered: number one, Google Sheets. So if you know Excel, you probably know Google Sheets. SQL as well. SQL is pretty much just learning how to query the database. It's not really hard. I know for people who don't like programming or who don't like coding, you might be scared, but trust me, if I can learn it, then you can as well. And then the third thing they covered was Tableau, and it was also, well, I'll say Tableau, to be honest, was a little bit more challenging than SQL for me, but I don't know, you might have a different experience. But everything definitely just requires practice, right? So that was the first thing I did. And then after that, I started applying for jobs. And obviously, I didn't get called because my resume needed serious tweaking. So that's the next part. I had to make sure that I was, reviewing my resume with somebody who was a data analyst as well. My wonderful friend, her name is Tolu. Tolu, wherever you are, God bless you. She really helped me out. So, she gave me her resume, and then I was able to compare it to mine and see how I'll be able to tweak my resume to kind of fit the data analyst job description. Of course, there are lots of transferable skills from what I was doing, but the thing with applying for jobs is if you do not put in certain keywords into your resume, when your resume goes through the first screening, they wouldn't pick you. And it's not because you're not good enough, it's just because there are certain keywords they look out for when you're applying for a role. And so I made sure that I did that. And then my friend Tolu as well took me through a detailed project for both SQL and Tableau. So there she literally like taught me again, and it was so amazing because she taught me a lot of things that I didn't know. I improved on those skills using those tools rather, which is SQL and Tableau as well. And it was beautiful because I ended up doing a project, and then she introduced me to something called GitHub. So GitHub is just a place where you can well, it does a lot more, but what I used it for was to put up all the projects that I did. So because obviously I worked with Tableau, I had like lots of beautiful dashboards, and with SQL going through my projects as well and my query, I was able to upload it to my GitHub so that when people actually click on my link to my GitHub, they can see what I'm capable of doing. And it's not just I'm telling you, but you can see, because that's another thing that can give you an advantage. If you can do like some sort of portfolio, or you can have a GitHub to put all the projects you've worked on, and so people know that you can actually do what you say you can do, right? GitHub is another thing. And then the next thing that I did was to go for a boot camp. So the reason I decided to go for a boot camp was because I'd been applying for jobs. So even after I finished my projects from Coursera, and my friend Tolu took me through the project as well, I also did my own personal projects. So projects upon projects. And before I go to the next point, the third thing I did, I just wanted to let you know that it's important to do projects, because when you learn something, right, you need a way to practice, so that number one, you don't forget. Number two, so that it becomes more um I don't know how do I say, so that you are able to understand what you're doing. So it's not just theoretical, but then practical. So there are many places where you can get like data sets, from, and I'll put some of the links below as well. So just go on there, get a data set, and try and analyze it yourself. So this would also prepare your mind, or like help your mind to be in that data analyst mindset, right? The third thing I did was I decided, okay, I'm going to go for a boot camp. This is the last thing I'm going to do. I'm going to go for a boot camp, because I already knew SQL, because again, I had done my practice, I had done project, and I'd analyzed a lot of data sets using these tools, SQL, Tableau. But I also wanted to be part of a community of people who were trying to get into the field. So this cost about $2,000. So obviously it was a lot of money, but then my husband and I decided, okay, we're going to do this. So I paid for it, and then it was for like 8 weeks or so. The name of the company is called Black Tech. So mind you, I'm in Canada, so this is all the things I'm going to be saying. I'm just applying it to the Canadian workforce. I don't really know about other countries, but I think it should be the same for other countries. But if there are little differences here and there, you would have to find out. So, the name of the company is Black Tech. They took me through Power BI, through Excel, through learning to use your GitHub as well. And then, we did multiple projects, and we did SQL too. So, I mean, the bootcamp was more detailed. So again, I learned a lot from the things I already knew, and they also did Python. It was like more like a beginner friendly course for the Python, which is like a programming language. So they also like we also learned Python. I didn't really focus a lot on Python, because I was like, you know what, with SQL, with Excel, and with any kind of visualization tool, so that can be Power BI, it can be Tableau, you should be good to go. But Python is another language you can learn. So I went through the boot camp, and it was so beautiful as well to just learn, and also just actually be a part of a community of people who are looking for the same thing as you, and people were so motivated, and it was very nice. When it was time for the project as well, we collaborated as a team, to analyze a data set that they gave to us, and we presented it, and it was really nice. So after that, obviously I kept on applying for jobs, making sure that for the jobs that I knew that I wanted to, I had a higher chance of getting into, I made sure to make tailor my resume to the jobs. So make sure I'm going through the job description, and also making sure that my resume matches what's on the job description. I'd say I was applying to probably like 10 jobs a day or something. It was ridiculous, right? And obviously the advantage of the Holy Spirit, like I shared in on Instagram and TikTok, that the Holy Spirit really just helped me when it was time for me to get this data analyst job for the company I'm working with, which is an insurance company. The Lord led me to the place to apply, and it was amazing how everything just lined up in my favor. And so all the projects I did, and all the boot camp, and all the struggling and doing projects and just trying to better myself, it came in very handy, because this job is a serious job. It takes a lot of mental energy, and it can be challenging. So I thank God for preparing me for where I am at right now. Of course, I'm still looking to develop myself. Actually, my goal for this year is to learn Python, which I don't like programming, but that's another thing, or another tool that I can use as a data analyst to be successful. And then the thing is, you just have to look for ways to better yourself, look for ways to stand out. If there are certifications you can take them. please don't give up. I promise you, your breakthrough is closer than you think. Assuming I had given up, I would have still been an insurance broker, which is not a bad thing. But obviously, I was tired, so I wanted to move on from it. But anyways, that's everything I did. Oh, I hope you've been able to learn one or two. If you have any personal questions, you can DM me. I would answer. I'm not an expert or anything, but I can help you out if you're looking to get into the field. And I just pray most importantly that God will favor you. It doesn't always necessarily have to be a thing where you are working so hard. God can literally just align you, and you will just seamlessly enter into the new field that you're looking into transition into. So that's everything I have for you guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Mwah.